We are live and recording. You can begin whenever you wish.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Welcome everyone to our regular council meeting. Today is December 16th, our final council meeting of 2025. Before we begin, just remind everybody that the meeting is going to be recorded and live streamed to the Township's YouTube channel. As is always the case, council, please raise your hand if you wish to speak on any matter, and I'll call on you at the appropriate time. And as always, if you wish to speak, when it is your time to speak, please speak into the microphone so that people online can hear you clearly. We'll now call the roll. We've got Deputy Mayor Nelson, Councillor Watt, Councillor Landsman, Councillor Johnston, and myself, Heather Watson. A number of members of staff are joining us from within this room as well as coming in on online on Zoom, and we'll introduce them at the appropriate time. We also have a couple of guests joining us this evening. I don't see him, but we've got County Councillor and Mayor of Trent Lakes, Terry Lambshead. Hello, Mayor. Welcome to Douro-Dummer Township virtually. And the county planner, Jennifer Kleinsmith, who will be here speaking to an item as well. So with quorum of council in attendance, I will call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the lands which are part of the 1818 Treaty 20 and the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe bands of the Great Ojibwe Nation. We offer our gratitude to the Ojibwe for their care and knowledge of the lands on which we work, live, and enjoy. May we honor and respect their teaching and our treaty obligations as we grow together. And we will just pause for a moment of silent reflection. Okay. Council, before you is the agenda, which was distributed earlier, I guess late last week. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing nothing, just looking for an adoption of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Nelson, seconded by Councillor Landsman. All in favor? And that motion carries. Oh, the agenda, sorry. Am I looking at the wrong agenda? Yeah, so just to clarify, there was an amendment to the agenda that was published on Thursday. So there's a couple of new items, item 7.7, which we'll get to, and 10.4 were added to the agenda. So that was a motion for the amended agenda that was moved and duly seconded. On with the adoption of the minutes and business arising from the minutes. We have two meetings that happened on December 2nd, our special council meeting and regular council meeting. Just a motion to receive and approve those. Councillor Johnston, seconded by Councillor Watt. Any discussion? All in favor? And that motion carries. On to consent. There are 7 items before you, council. We'll be looking for one motion to receive those items on consent unless there's an item that any of you would like to hold for discussion later on in the agenda. Seeing nothing to hold, Councillor Watt, a motion to receive? Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Landsman. All in favor? And that motion carries. On to delegations, petitions, and presentations. We do have a couple of public meetings, and we're going to be starting with a public meeting for an official plan amendment application file number 150P25016. So we are looking for a motion to open that public meeting. Councillor Johnston, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson. All in favor? And that motion carries. And I will hand it over to Ms. Fitzgerald. Are you ready to take this before Jennifer does? Over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Watson, members of council, staff, and the public. This is the public meeting for a proposed official plan amendment, file number 15OP-25016. The purpose of this evening's public meeting is to provide council and the public with some information on the application, as well as to receive any comments the public may have to offer on the application. A staff report and recommendation will be brought forward to a future regular council meeting. So the official plan amendment before you this evening was submitted together with the required supporting documentation to the County of Peterborough and was deemed complete November 4th, 2025. It was assigned its file number, and it does represent official plan amendment number 86 to the county official plan. The application applies to the property located in part of Lot 2, Concession 8 of the Douro Ward in the Township of Douro-Dummer, and has the municipal address of 147 Douro 8th line. The OPA, just briefly, proposes to redesignate a portion of the subject property from the extractive industrial designation to the rural designation to facilitate the creation of 2 new residential lots by way of severance. Notice of the complete application and public meeting was circulated in the Peterborough Examiner on November 21st, 2025, and the prescribed persons and public bodies were circulated via email and or regular mail. The notice was also made available on both the county and township websites. The application was further circulated to senior staff at the township for comment prior to the public meeting this evening. I've received no comments to date, but on behalf of the planning department, I will just note that the portion of the property subject to this OPA is currently zoned rural. At this point, a zoning is not required because the proposed residential use of the severed lots is permitted in the rural zone, and the lots created are to meet the minimum lot frontage and area requirements of the rural zone, being 45 meters and 0.4 hectares respectively. I will also note that a single detached dwelling has recently been constructed on the subject property, which will be located on one of the proposed severed lots. And confirmation that the existing dwelling will continue to meet the regulations of the rural zone will be required when the township undertakes a review of the severance applications. No other comments were received from township staff, and township staff have not received any comments from members of the public as they relate to this application. I will turn it over to Jennifer Kleinsmith now. Jennifer is joining us from the county of Peterborough. She is a planner for the county, and she'll just give us some further details as to the purpose of the application, as well as to speak to official plan and provincial planning statement conformity, and any comments that we have received from the prescribed persons and public bodies.
Ms. Kleinsmith, over to you.
There we go. Hooray. Good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. As noted, my name is Jennifer Kleinsmith. I'm a planner for the county of Peterborough. As well, we have Terry Lambshead via Zoom, who is a planning representative for county council in front of you today. As you're aware, Emily give some notes. I'll try not to repeat them. I may, just to make sure that I get everything out for the purposes of the public meeting, so bear with me if I do repeat. As you are aware, the County of Peterborough is the approval authority for amendments to the county official plan, and today's public meeting is being held to consider an application to amend the county official plan, and more specifically, the local component of the county OP, which contains the land use policies for Douro-Dummer Township. As noted, the application has been assigned file number 15 OP-25016 for the lands located at 147 Douro 8th line in Douro Ward. The application was received on October 17th, 2025 and was deemed complete November 4th, 2025. It applies to lands legally described as Lot 2, Con 8, Douro Ward, and is known municipally as 147 Douro 8th line. The property has an approximate area of 17.8 hectares and fronts directly onto Douro 8th line. And as noted, the OPA that is a subject of the public application of the public meeting today is to support 2 concurrent severance applications that aren't the subject of the public meeting, but are going through the process alongside with it. In support of the application, the following materials were submitted. We received a proposed severance sketch by JBF Surveyors, a planning justification report prepared by EcoView Consulting Services, and a letter of opinion, which was provided by Past Recovery Archaeological Services. The Planning Act requires that at least one public meeting be held for official plan amendments in order to provide the public with information on the proposal and the opportunity to provide input. As noted, the official plan currently designates these lands as extractive, industrial, and rural in the local component of the OPA. And the OPA will have the effect of changing the designation of the lands that are currently designated extractive industrial to rural. The predominant use of lands within the extractive industrial designation is sand, gravel, and quarry operations. Extractive industries that refine and process the raw materials extracted from the site are also permitted. Asphalt plants and concrete batching plants are only permitted if compatible with surrounding land uses, while rural uses are generally permitted in the extractive industrial designation. Under certain circumstances, residential uses are not. And while the extractive industrial designation would have presumably been based on information provided by the province at the time it was created, current available information does not identify any aggregate resources on the subject property, and it's for this reason that the applicant is seeking to have the designation removed. As noted, the applicant is seeking the lands currently designated extractive industrial to be designated rural. In this designation, permitted uses include all agricultural uses, forestry, passive outdoor recreation and activities connected with the conservation of soil and wildlife, limited small-scale commercial uses, farm-related commercial and industrial uses, low-density residential uses, and home occupations and home industries. And the remainder, as noted, the application is being made to support 2 severances for residential purposes, with the remainder of the site currently being used for agriculture. From a provincial planning statement perspective, the application is generally consistent with those policies related to rural areas and rural lands. There are no known significant natural heritage features on or adjacent to the site. And while there are still some identified aggregate resources on adjacent lands, since their future development is already constrained by existing residential uses or is overlain by existing wetlands, an aggregate resource study was not required as part of the application. And I'll speak a little bit more about archaeological resources and natural hazards in a moment. As noted, a joint notice was given for both notice of complete application and notice of public meeting by email, website, and via the Peterborough Examiner. The dual notice was circulated and posted on November 13th and run in the Examiner on the 21st of November. Comments were received from the following agencies: County of Peterborough Engineering and Construction Division, Enbridge Gas, and the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, all of whom have no objections to the proposed amendment. Comments from Autonomy Conservation noted the presence of natural hazard features on site. While they note these features are designated natural core in the new official plan, they recommend that these features be designated environmental constraint in the meantime. As such, given the timing of those comments, the proposed official amendment schedule that is provided in the materials you've received does not reflect that request and will be updated. However, the inclusion of the environmental constraint designation won't affect the severed parcels. We've also received comments from Curve Lake First Nation expressing concern over the letter of opinion from a licensed archaeologist that was provided in support of the application. During the pre-consultation meeting, a stage 1 archaeological assessment was requested. However, when the licensed archaeologist retained by the applicant did a site visit, they were of the opinion that the site had low to no archaeological potential as a result of deep disturbance from the recent residential construction, leveling, and grading, and the presence of a steep slope on the remainder of the site, and concluded the assessment was not warranted. Curve Lake is of the opinion that the fall stage 1 assessment should be completed. And while most technical reports received in support of a Planning Act application are peer reviewed either by in-house staff, an agency, or a third-party reviewer, the process is different for archaeological assessments, as the issuer of licenses to archaeologists, the producer of the technical guidelines for practice, and the keeper of the Register of Archaeological Reports. The Ministry of Citizenship and Multiculturalism is the de facto peer reviewer of these opinions and assessments. And as a result, we've reached out to them for guidance on the appropriateness of the letter of opinion versus a stage 1 assessment. We just haven't heard back from them as of today and as of this meeting. And as of now, no comments have been received by any members of the public. We're almost there, I promise. The next steps in the process after this evening is, as noted, because of the outstanding information or feedback from that we're waiting on for the province, township staff have not presented a supporting resolution on the OPA from Township Council at this time. However, at some point in the future, the county will be looking for such a recommendation. Once received, staff will prepare a planning report for county council, which considers all relevant official plan and provincial policies, as well as any public and agency comments. Once county council has made a decision, a notice of decision will be provided in accordance with the Planning Act, and a decision will be final if there are no appeals within the 20-day appeal period. If any member of the public wishes to receive a notice of decision for this application, then a written request must be made to the county. Now with that, thank you for hanging in there with me for background information. I can stay here and answer any questions, or I can go back.
It's probably good,
Okay.
just so that you're mic'd again. The Zoom wouldn't pick it up if you're not mic'd.
Okay.
Mayor Lambshead, anything you want to add to the presentation?
No, I think it's a pretty thorough presentation. It's a simple request. I think it's certainly looks like it's supportable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any comments or questions from council before we go to the public on this? Seeing Councillor Watt.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much, both for the presentation. You mentioned the fact that we still have to wait to hear back from some agencies, but like that. Do they have a time frame to get back to us? Like we have a time frame to put things out?
When I sent around the circulation, I did ask that everybody have comments by today noon if they had anything that they wanted to say. Typically, we receive silence as no objection. That doesn't, it means that comments can trickle in, but I would say the usual suspects of the agencies that we do regularly hear back from, we have received comments from at this point.
Any other questions? I have one that I'd just like a little bit of clarification on. You noted in your narrative, Jennifer, that I'm paraphrasing, but the current data doesn't support it being aggregate from when the original mapping had been done. What data are you using to make that decision based up that on?
We receive mapping around aggregate resources from the province directly, and it is based on a report that has an acronym that I want to call ADRIP, but I don't recall what it is.
Okay.
But
Skill
suffice to
testing
say, we get that the aggregate information from the province.
Okay, so where was the malignment then? How did it be that and now it's not? If it's like, was the source data from the province as well then?
Yes, so at
And-
some point, the schedule, presumably, the schedule of the current OP would have been based on whatever information was available from the province at the time. And in the intervening years, we've received updated or more accurate or refined information. And now what is just being shown as extractive industrial designation doesn't show up on aggregate resource mapping.
Okay, so it's the province updating the province's files, not
Yes.
us or outside studies or,
Mhm.
okay, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. Any other questions? So this is the point then we will open the floor to the public, either in person or online. Does anyone have any comments from the chambers? Anybody in the gallery want to speak to this application? Madam Clerk, is there anybody online? Nobody's online? Last call for comments? Seeing nothing then, thank you. And we'll just be looking for a motion to close the public meeting. Councillor Johnston, seconded by Councillor Watt. All in favor? That motion carries. And then we'll simply need a resolution to receive the supporting materials and the comments on the file at this point in time. Deputy Mayor Nelson, seconded by Councillor Watt. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? And that carries. Okay, on to public meeting number 2. Thank you, Mayor Lambshead. Thank you, Jennifer. Safe travels home. On to 8.2, which is the building department to adopt new and amended fees. So we're going to be looking for a motion to open this public meeting. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Watt. All in favor? And that carries. And we will now turn it over to our CBO, Mr. Helleman, who is sequestering himself because we don't want to have a nasty bug over the holidays. Is that what this is? Welcome, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. And yes, I'm presenting virtually, just I am under the weather and not looking to get anyone else sick. So Council, before you have 2 reports from me that are related to the public meeting being held tonight to amend building department fees. The first report is 2025-01, and it comes from resolution 253-25, which when Council passed the implementation of this of the sewage system program and to host a public meeting for the fees, they had asked us to prepare a report on the scope of the program. And so 2025-01 deals with the scope. And so what we'd start with is kind of how the program is to roll out. So first and foremost is the township and county together will maintain an online directory that's kind of run through the GIS system. And it's a searchable directory, so you can go in, put your property address, and it will tell you if you are part of the sewage system maintenance inspection program. It'll also then tell you if you're part of the mandatory or discretionary program. And on top of that, it'll tell you what year you are slated to be inspected. So we have that for the public to access and to kind of get some information there. We also have a web page that's dedicated to this that will run through the program highlights and a lot of the information package that people or property owners who are subject to the maintenance inspection program will receive will be located on our website. So when at the start of in the spring, building department will identify what zone or zones are to be completed that year for maintenance inspection, and we will do a mail out. And so the property owner will receive a mail out for with in there is an information package and a questionnaire. Excuse me, and this questionnaire is also available online. And so I just do want to bring note that I know we received some public comment, and one of the things was just some lead time for people, some of our ratepayers who don't live within the township year round or may even travel through the winter. And so one of the things that we like about this aspect is they can look online and know whether their property is slated to be inspected on the given year. And then they can also do the questionnaire online and submit it online as well. And so they don't have to be local in order to do that. So when the questionnaire is sent out, it can be returned by mail, drop it off at the front counter of the town hall, or submit it online. And then once we receive all of our questionnaires back, there's a timeline associated with that. Then staff begins a document review, which is where we search our historical, physical, and digital records for information regarding the existing system. So then what we do is we compare the available records to the information we've received through the questionnaire, and we start with a highlight of any concerns or discrepancies that we need to address with the homeowner or the property owner. In that information package that the property owner receives, they'll be given a date or a date range of when they can expect their inspection to take place. Prior to an inspector showing up on site, the inspector will phone. So part of the information package in that questionnaire is contact information of who we should be dealing with when the inspection time comes. So again, even the property owner may, ask that their neighbor is the person we contact because they're a year-round resident or something. So we'll deal with whoever they'd asked us to do that. We'll reach out to them, and prior to attending the site, we'll contact that person and we'll confirm the date of the inspection. We'll also confirm that they're ready for the inspection, so that the tank lids are dug up, if there's a pump chamber, that it's accessible. And so just making sure that there's no cause for delay. And then once we're on site, we'll inspect necessary components of the sewage system. So again, whether it's the septic tank, pump chamber, and alarm. And we do some measurements of the tank, the scum layer, sludge, and we document all of that data. Once we're done that, the building official will do their best to give a verbal result of the inspection. And I say that to the fact that if there's a bit more they have to do some research on, then they're going to do that. But if we can tell that the scum layer and sludge layer, the depth of them require the tank to be pumped out, then the inspector is going to let them know that at that time. If they, hopefully they'd point out if the tank's starting to crumble or if a baffle's missing. And so that'll be discussed with the person on site. And then when the inspector's back into the office, we'll take all the information from that inspection, and then we'll start with an issuance of a certificate. And so depending on what happens through the inspection will depend on what type of certificate the property owner receives. So they could receive a green certificate. And again, this is issued when there's no obvious or outward signs of malfunction or non-compliance or failure at the time of inspection. We also have a yellow certificate. And again, so this is when there's no obvious or outward signs of malfunction. However, there might be some conditions that may threaten the long-term health of the system and that we want to bring to the owner's attention. And one of the keys to the yellow certificate is that there's no mandatory follow-up on a yellow. So the yellow certificate is issued, and the property owner can choose to accept that as their yellow and monitor the situation, or they can choose to then, if they'd like, change it to green. And so again, depending on what the deficiency is or the concern is, that would be discussed with the property owner of what they can do to then apply to have that green certificate or the yellow change to green. And then the other one that we have is a red report, and the red report identifies that there are obvious outward signs of malfunction or non-compliance. And so again, that red would have a mandated, they have to fix the deficiency. And so again, depending on the deficiency would depend on how that works with the property owner. But again, the building official will be communicating that with them. And so once those are mailed out, and then also we have with that included with the certificate, when we mail out the certificate, we'll mail out an invoice, and we'll also mail out an information package on sewage system maintenance and just how to care for their sewage system moving forward. And again, those documents will also be available online for people to check out. So what we have today, again, is we're looking at amending the building department fees. So the fees that we're discussing to implement this program in our proposed fee schedule is located in rows 50 to 56. And we have amended fees for both the mandatory and discretionary program. And so what we have is we've kind of changed our fee structure. The old fee structure listed them as type 1 and type 2 inspections, and we've taken that wording away and have kind of gone to so our first one starts with a standard inspection. In my report, you can see with that the standard inspection, that fee is assessed on every property where an inspection takes place. And so why I just bring that to your attention is the property owner does have an ability to go get a third-party contractor to do the inspection and sign the certificate that, again, is attached in our Schedule B, the building bylaw. And if they choose to do that, and we don't need to do an inspection, they're not charged for the inspection fee. But so when we do the inspection, this standard inspection fee is charged to them. Now, if our inspection requires follow-up inspections, then there's an additional fee for that. And that additional fee, what you'd note is the standard inspection for the mandatory program is still staying currently at $75, but the discretionary program is at $275. This is something that the building department will bring in the coming year, a report back to council to seek some guidance on this. My understanding is that the standard inspection for the mandatory program was a lower fee because they didn't have a choice, and it's something that needs done every 5 years. But it's not that the work changes, but the historical records are a little bit easier to find because we've been doing them now for a few years. And so it'll be up to council. We'll be seeking council's direction on if they want us to stay with that model or if they want us to cover what we believe to be the full cost of the inspection. But if we look to the discretionary program, the standard inspection fee is going up to $275. The follow-up inspection fee is the same for both the mandatory and the discretionary. And that's because if the property owner is requiring us to do a second inspection due to either a deficiency that's found, them not completing the information on time, or not having the site ready for us, then again, it is something that we feel, one is a financial incentive to have people do the work properly, but also there is a cost to the department to go back out to continue with the follow-ups and look after the administration of that. We're including in this one a third-party document review. Again, it's the same for mandatory and discretionary. And again, that's a document review that would come for typically if we look at it, would be if they have a third party complete the inspection. Again, this is for us to review the questionnaire and compare it to the certificate that the qualified person is submitting. Or also if it's a review that we have to do, if we have a supplemental review, and that's if we have to review information that maybe has come as part of our inspection. So if we've asked them to, if we have a yellow for them and we want a little bit of follow-up, or maybe a red, and they don't require, another inspection, but rather they require us to review some documentation that they provide, then that review fee is set at $75. These fees are set to, again, we anticipate full cost recovery for the building department, and our model is to have a 10% of our revenue allocated to department reserves. And so we believe that these fees align with that current model of funding. That's all for my report 2025-01, Council. And again, that's on our fee schedule and why we're hosting the public meeting. And so that's really to give an idea of what we're doing in the mandatory and discretionary maintenance inspection programs for sewage systems, and really as they pertain to why we're seeking the fee adjustment we are. If there's any questions on those fees at this time, I'm happy to answer them, or I can also just continue with discussing the fees now, that the additional fees that the building department is seeking to amend.
Let's
would
just
you- what would
pause there
council
for a
like?
moment, Mr. Hellman, and we'll see if council has any questions on this part. Council, any questions? Councilor Landsman?
Thank you. Through the mayor to Dawn. Just with regard to your comment on the fees, if it's a mandatory program, the fee is $75 because they're paying another fee? Do I understand you correctly there?
Through the mayor, Councillor Landsman. No, it's not that they're paying another. So it's mandatory through the province. We must do them, and they must be inspected every 5 years. So the original program, the program has us inspecting every sewage system that's in the program every 10 years. So they already have to have it inspected 2 times to kind of everyone else's once. And the idea is that they had no choice on the matter. It's by location of land. And again, this is my understanding of why the fee was reduced at the initial time that this program came into place. So I'm holding that same fee until we can bring a report to council to discuss what they feel they would like to do with the mandatory. The mandatory inspections are done for 2025. We don't have to do them again until 2030. And so we have a little bit of time to just discuss what does council want to do with those fees. They don't cover costs currently. It doesn't mean that they have to go probably to the 275. As I said, we do them every 5 years, so document retention is a little bit better for us than one that we haven't seen yet. But it still doesn't cover the true cost.
So the mandatory part of the program have a prior history with 5-year increase.
Correct. Through the mayor, that is correct, Councillor Landsman.
Council, any other question? Seeing nothing further, Mr. Hellman, do you want to continue?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So again, I'll just transfer over to my other report 2025-04. And I will focus on, I apologize, I think it's Schedule A of the building bylaw, but I'm not sure what attachment it is for the proposed fees. But if we look at the proposed fee schedule, we can see that it has undergone a substantial formatting change. And we've separated into 4 different sections. And so we have building permits as a section, sewage and plumbing permits as a section, administrative as a section, and then the sewage system maintenance inspection program. And when we look at these 4 different areas, we can see that we can categorize these fees either to a fixed amount fee or a calculated fee. And so what I'd start with first is that the calculated fees that we see are based on construction value. And so we have no proposed changes to those. As was brought up in my 2023 report as well, is that as inflation increases, so does the associated cost with construction. And so therefore calculated fees, they increase naturally as they're tied to value. And so what we're looking at today is really some increases on fixed fees. And we must increase fixed fees intentionally because it doesn't happen naturally through inflation. And so we're today, like I say, we're only looking at changing some fixed fees. One of the fees that we are looking to change are the sewage system permit fees. Though these fee increases, as identified in my report, they did undergo a change back in 2023, and we had an increase then. And at that time in 2023, even after our increase, we were still 30% lower than our neighboring municipalities in what they charge for sewage system permits. We've left them since 2023 and are now seeking to increase again. And we're bringing them to that level that our neighboring municipalities had them in 2023. Now, I believe those fees are still the fees that are set today with our neighboring municipalities. So though we're going back to the 2023 rate, I do want to be clear, I don't believe that our neighboring municipalities have raised from that either. So by implementing this increase, again, it'll help us meet our full cost recovery for the building department. But then, as I say, it'll put us in line with our neighboring municipalities. The other one that we have that we're asking for is some other set fees. And again, I won't go through each one, but what I will say is of those set fees that we have, what you're typically seeing is an increase approximately around 11% for most of these fees, and that they tend to be a relatively modest increase to the fact that I think it's between $25 and $50 is the majority of the fees is what we're seeking the increase for. There is a few outliers where the fees go up a little higher, but again, not by the percentage. So it's still 11%, but higher maybe than the 50 or the $25 to $50 I said. I just don't want to mislead anyone. So again, we're seeking these fee increases to help us run the building department at full cost recovery. And again, we do have the building department going under a service delivery review, at which point part of that review is for our fees to be looked at. So again, if there's any changes that need to come forward out of that report, then the building department will come back on that. But today, this is what we're seeking. Are those changes to the fixed fees, the sewage permit fees, and also the maintenance inspection program? And again, council, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Council, any questions on either of those two reports that are before you before we open up the floor to the public? Nothing? Okay, before we go to public comments from the floor, Madam Clerk, I understand we did receive some comments in advance of today's meeting. If you'd like to let us know what was received.
Madam Mayor, we did receive two letters in advance of this meeting. The first I'll read out is from the Birchcliff Property Owners Association dated November 27th, 2025. On behalf of the BPOA, I am writing in support of the proposed bylaw to adopt new and amended building fees and charges specifically in relation to the proposed fees for the Township Sewage System Maintenance Inspection Program. BPOA fully supports the implementation of the Township's new septic reinspection program for waterfront properties outlined at Council earlier this year, as the program will help protect both lake water quality and human health to the benefit of residents within our community. Sincerely, BPOA. And then the second item that we received is from the Environmental Council, and it is dated December 10th, 2025. Environmental Council would like the following message to be read into the record during the public comment period at the December 16th, 2025 public meeting regarding building department fees. The Environment Council for Clear, Stony, and White Lakes supports the building department's proposed fees for sewage system maintenance inspections. We believe the proposed cost fees are reasonable, and we feel it is imperative that these fees be approved so the septic reinspection program for waterfront properties can move ahead as quickly as possible. Implementation of the program is essential to ensure that malfunctioning septic systems are not releasing harmful nutrients and bacteria into our lakes, streams, and rivers.
Nitrogen and phosphorus leaching from faulty systems contribute to excessive growth of invasive aquatic plants and algae, including toxic blue-green algae, which along with E. coli bacteria can cause serious human health problems. To help make the program successful, we recommend that ample time be allowed for property owners to respond to the steps required by the program before any additional follow-up fees are imposed. Many seasonal residents live out of province or out of country or may be traveling, so may not be able to receive the initial notice and questionnaire quickly. Likewise, adequate time needs to be given for owners to uncover their tank lids. Some will need to arrange for their property maintenance services to do this. Others may not be physically able to uncover the lids and will need to find and hire someone to do this for them. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. Lois Wallace on behalf of the council.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And again, council, before we open it to the public, any question on those comments? Seeing nothing, we'll open it up to the, oh, Councillor Watt, sorry.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me, just on the last one on Lois, sir, I do echo her comments on, making sure that we get a hold of people, give them a proper timeline, stuff like that. That is very difficult for people, especially non-residents. So I would really like our staff to take that one to heart and make sure that it is looked at fully.
Okay, thank you for that comment. So we'll flip it over now to the gallery for any comments on the fee structure, either the change of fees for building and planning department or the sewage system maintenance inspection program. Any comments from the floor? Please come up to the microphone and we'll need you to state your name and, no, not your address, just your name. Just your name for the record, please, sir.
There we go. I'm Jim Mollahan. Just a question about the septic program here. I guess the frustration is looking at a program here where we've increased up to 40% for class 4 sewage systems. I put a sewage system in for a property that we built 3 years ago, and I can't even get it closed. I've asked several times. We've had an inspector come out, inspected the program when we built it, and it was inspected and no paperwork was done. I had a re-inspection done on it, and he said he couldn't close it because he wasn't here and there was no paperwork. That permit is still not closed. And I'm going, why do we increase this kind of funds to a department that doesn't follow through with the paperwork we're required to do ourselves? So I have a little concern about this kind of dollars going towards this when we're not doing the work. And that's it for the sewage system. And I think that goes through all of this.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
If you don't mind turning your microphone off, please. Thank you. Any other comments from the gallery? And again, please state your name for the record. The microphone. You need to push the button. There you go. You're good.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. My name is Marie Howren. I'm a taxpayer in Douro Township, the Township of Douro-Dummer. So I just have a couple questions. It's hard to look at Don because he's not physically in the room, but the report to me when I read it does not seem to indicate the financial impact of the increases that are being proposed. We don't have any facts stated that tell us what the current financial collection of these fees is or the impact of the increases that are being proposed. That seems short-sighted. The Ontario Building Code Act specifically states that fees can be collected to a cost recovery basis only. You can't do it and stuff it into a reserve, which is what I just heard we were going to do. So I'm fairly concerned about that. So I'd like to know why these specific fees are being requested to be increased. The second question that I have is, why is this a priority now? We've had so many issues that I've heard of personally in a public meeting that was held here last year. I've spoken to almost every one of you councillors and the mayor personally about the issues that I'm aware of with the building and planning areas of this township. I know that you've heard them because I saw the RFP released for the review. So my question then is, why would it now be a priority for our CBO to bring forward cost increases and ask for these to be approved ahead of a full functional review? We saw in the budget meetings last week that, or 2 weeks ago, that we're pulling money from reserves to cover staffing costs because this is what's proposed by the province for us to smooth out the ups and downs of costing within the building and planning areas specifically. We also know we just came through a COVID bubble of building, and I don't expect personally we're ever going to see a bubble like that again. But we're still carrying staff from that bubble, and I think that has an impact. I personally would like to see, before any increases are approved by council, that we have a full financial accounting of the proposed increases and whether we are actually abiding by the Building Code Act itself. Are we still within its guidance to do cost recovery? Or are we now in a situation where we're actually trying to make this a for-profit department, which it was never intended to be? So I heard the mayor council a manager at the budget meetings to that very fact, not this particular department, but another one. I think this is another instance of similar counseling. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the gallery? Please make your way to the lectern. And state your name for the record, please.
Hi, this is April Hope, and I'm not going to be talking about the septic reinspection, so that's good. I wanted to talk today quickly about the fees, the proposed increases. So we had a conversation tonight about how the building department fees have been unchanged since 2021 at $14.50, but I don't think we really understand what that means. Between 2021 and 2024, construction values have increased 40% and nearly double the cost of living, driven by the pandemic and inflation. Permit values weren't increased because a significant increase is already baked into those construction costs. This falls directly on the builder, the construction industry, our taxpayers, our business. In my personal opinion, now is not the time to be doing a permit fee increase when the building division has financial and operational issues that will be addressed by a consultant's review, and while the economy is flatlining and there are less permit applications because of it. Over the last 3 years, the building division has been running at a deficit, not cost recovery. At what point is the municipality finding efficiencies in their own departments instead of continuing to put the burden on the taxpayer? Judging by the proposed fee increases and as discussed in the septic reinspection report that was brought forward to council, they are using enforcement to drive revenue. Septic reinspection fees are proposed to be increased, but what has changed other than less properties being subject to this enforcement? The sewage system costs are being proposed to be increased by 40%, when originally the enforcement of them was brought over from public health by the former CBO to be less onerous on the ratepayer. Why is there no actual data in this report or concrete reasoning to justify the proposed actual increases? So if my pool permit is going up, why? I don't know. I can't find that data. So in our pillars of the strategic plan, it references business attraction and a focus on affordable housing. Increasing fees in this way is the complete opposite of that. A good municipal comparison study would be Norwood, which has significant growth over the past decade and therefore a larger rate base. Norwood does not charge a reinspection fee, which we have brought up to $250 from $225. That is not on their building permit fees. They charge $10 per $1,000 of construction value versus our $14.50. They have lower building permit fee structure, a better run building division with less administrative burden, and ultimately have provided businesses and ratepayers with a huge opportunity for growth, retention, and expansion, and ultimately a stable economy there. Setting goals and a strategic plan is all fine and well, but only if it is followed by actionable steps that get us there. Permit fees are just another tax, one that has major ramifications for the greater community, business retention, all of those things that we were supposed to be focusing on. And we all see that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the gallery? Seeing nothing from the gallery, Madam Clerk, is there anybody online looking to join us? Not today. Okay, last call from the gallery. You can come up a second time to speak, and that's the cap on a public meeting. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just forgot to mention something that the CBO did bring up in his report, and that was, how traditionally Douro's fees in this area have been low. I just would request that all the council have the opportunity to go and review a report from the Township of Selwyn dated February 6, 2025. This was a report written by the Township of Selwyn and put forward to their council in the spring. And it lists in there a chart where it compares the building construction fees across all a number of municipalities. Douro is one of them. We're actually the second highest rated for fees in the county of Peterborough, according to this report. We're not one of the lowest. And that was before Selwyn did their increase and after. So I think, I don't know where the information's coming from that we're one of the lowest, and this one is saying we're one of the highest. I can't tell you which one's right, but I can tell you there is a physical report out there that says we're one of the highest. So I think it's worth reflecting on to see where did that information come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last call for comments from the gallery. Seeing nothing, council, we're going to be looking for a motion to close the public meeting. Councillor Watt, seconded by Councillor Landsman, all in favor? And that motion carries. Now, council, just from an administrative standpoint, we've got 2 reports with recommendations that we need to move, debate, discuss. And then just also, first and foremost, probably the easiest, let me turn the page here, is just a resolution to receive the comments that we've received and supporting materials, as well as the comments on file. We're not approving the recommendations with that motion, but we will need a motion to receive that. If we could get that as currently to receive. Councillor Johnston, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? That motion carries. And now we have, I'm going to flip my page back, 2 different reports that were discussed in the public meeting. We'll start with item 8.2.1, which is the change of fees, Building and Planning Department 2025-04. There is a recommendation before you, council. What would you like to do with that? Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we defer that until we have the report that was the study that we were going to get done. I think we do need to look at that before we pass these changes of fees.
And just to clarify, the study, the service delivery review that's going to be undertaken? Okay, thank you for that clarification. So we have a motion then to defer until the service delivery review. Councillor Watt, your hand's up. Are you seconding that? Okay. Sorry, any discussion on that motion? Councillor Watt.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Johnson. There was some good comments made from the audience here that we need to look into. So I think that would give staff time to look into them. Plus our service review is going to help alleviate a lot of those questions and comments.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion on the motion? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And that motion carries. On to item 8.2.2, which is the discretionary sewage system maintenance inspection program fees and scope 2025-01. Is that right? Council, what would you like to do with this one? Councillor Johnson.
I'll make a motion to receive it, and we will introduce those fee structures for the sewage.
Okay, and then adopt the bylaw at the appropriate time. So removing the recommendation?
Yes. Do
Okay.
do we do bylaw later?
We can do it
Versus-
late.
yeah.
I think we can do that later. Yeah, we can do that later. On in the, I think it is further down the agenda. That's right. You're going to second that, Deputy Mayor? Any discussion on that motion? We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you very much. Let me get my papers here. Okay. Okay, so that dealt with the public meeting? Done? Okay, so we're on to item number 9, which was the public comment period. We had no people register to speak. So into staff reports and council before you, item 10.1, the report and capital project status for December 2025. If there's any questions of our CAO on that, otherwise I'll just be looking for a motion to receive. Deputy Mayor? For the motion to receive? Okay. Councillor Johnston will second a motion to receive. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion carries. Item 10.2, severance applications, B104-24 and B105-24. The Edwards report, planning 2025-2033. Ms. Fitzgerald, I'll just hand it over to you. Oh, CAO Davis, that's right, sorry.
Good evening, members of the council. The report before you tonight is a report that has appeared before you a couple of different times. This is its third occurrence, and it's regarding the severance review of files B-104-24 and B-105-24. That has come through council on 2 separate occasions. The first time it came before you was in February 18th. The recommended with the recommended recommendation that is listed in tonight's report. It was deferred at that time, requesting some more information related to Demers Road. I came back with the report on November 4th with that information, and it also allowed you the opportunity, we came back at that time because it allowed you the opportunity to go and see the road on the annual road tour. At the end of that report and discussion and debate by council, that matter was further deferred. We're bringing this back again tonight because we've been informed by Peterborough County that the planning application for severance is due to be heard by Land Division at Peterborough County in early January of this year. Just like to remind council that the decision on this severance review is not actually a decision on severance. It's actually a decision on whether we provide comments or what we call the municipal appraisal form to the Peterborough County so that they can incorporate that the opinions of our land use planner in their decision-making process. Because that matter is going to be heard by Peterborough County Land Division in January, I wanted to give this council an opportunity to reconsider the report that we put forward in February. And to support our comments going forward as they are recommended in the original report that was written by our now retired planner, Christina Coulter. What I also will point out is that this report, Christina's work and report has been reviewed by our current planner, Emily Fitzgerald. She has suggested to me that she supports the recommendations of this report. I recognize that my comments are not technical, simply because I think you've been given a technical presentation on a couple of different times related to this matter, and we are simply seeking council's direction on what to do with it tonight. I do ask that this not be deferred one more time. We make a decision at this juncture. Regardless of what that decision is, Peterborough County has to move on with this application based on legislated timeframe. And so that's why we're seeking a decision tonight. I will also note that Emily is with us this evening as well. If you have some technical planning related questions that you want to ask of Emily, that's why I asked her to stay. Otherwise, I'm happy to take any questions you may have. And of course, Emily's available as well.
Thank you, CAO Davis. And just to be clear, the recommendation in the original report, February 18th, 2025, in theory, should council wish to move it on to land division like that, that's still current. All the data in that is still relevant today based on all the deliberations and discussions.
Through the mayor, back to the mayor, absolutely. That our recommendation hasn't changed and will not change. Is the opinion of the planning department. both Emily and Christina are agreement that staff cannot recommend the severance applications.
Thank you very much for that. Deputy Mayor Nelson?
Whenever you're ready for resolution, I will put forward a resolution, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that. Just see if there's any questions from council before we do move forward. Councillor Johnston?
Yes, through the chair. I made the motion last time to defer it till where we could get some more. I was wanting to have some more discussion on severances on a private road, an open road. I didn't realize the timing was such, because I'm still wanting to have discussions on that. So to turn this down, I'll have to leave it to the rest of you because I'm still in that deferred, wanting some more information on what we might do in the future. So I'm just stating that I'm not in favor of the recommendation, but that's just me.
Thank you, Councillor Johnston. Any other questions? Seeing nothing else, Deputy Mayor, I'll turn it over to you to make the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion, but before I make that motion, I'd like to also make a comment. Just so people are clear in the audience and anybody online. This road is a private road. We have a process in place within the township to make it a public road. And that is up to the people that live on that road to bring that up to a township standard. And to bring that up to a township standard, I'm guessing that's probably somewhere, I don't know exactly, but I'll throw a number out there. It's probably close to $600,000 to $1 million to bring that road up to a standard for a township. So as the policy, this policy is not something new. It's been around for a long time. When I built my house, I had to do the exact same thing as what we're asking of the people that are coming here to make this a private road into a township road. And we are not going to put our equipment and our snowplows down a road that doesn't meet township standards. And to ask the taxpayers to do that, that's unreasonable, very unreasonable. And I don't care how many severances you want to get, it's very unreasonable. And then we're on the hook for liability when we have a road that isn't up to standards. And I find that is very, very hard to stomach when I had to pay to bring my road up to that standard of what that was at that time back in the day. And I know there is a lot of other people in this township that have done the exact same thing, maybe not as far as what that is, but I know some people that have spent over $100,000 to bring their road up to standard so that the township would actually take it over. And that has happened. There's all kinds of it. There's all kinds of roads. And I just want to be plain and clear that I don't think it's fair that the rest of the taxpayers in this township pay for a private road that we have to maintain and look after because somebody wants a severance. I'm sorry, but that is not the way, that's not the principle of this. So with that in mind, I'm ready to make the recommendation to stand behind staff on this, and I can't accept that. I can't accept the fact that the township wants, you want the township to, Wayne, I'm going to be honest with you. You might as well hear it right from my mouth as hear it from somewhere else. I can't support that. I can't support taxpayers' money being spent. And it goes on. Then it goes on to snow plowing. We got to add gravel. I mean, it becomes a township road if we do that. But it should be at your expense or the people that live on that road to bring it up to standard. So that's why I can't support it. Thank you.
Unfortunately not at this juncture. Deputy Mayor, I just want to clarify the motion that you are making, that you're moving the recommendation that's written in the report dated February 18th, 2025, re B 104-24 and 105-24. Okay. I said that correctly. Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Lansman, you had your hand up. Is this a question or to second the motion?
It's a question if I may.
Can we go for a seconder at this point first? Or are we discussing the motion or
I just have a question.
a question? If it's a point of order question, go ahead.
Yes. Is there any, I don't know enough about the policies and things like that. Is there any recourse down the road should the property owners change their mind and?
Change their mind on the severance or
you-
change their mind
like-
on the road or all of the above?
Do the property owners have any recourse down the road other than making the road, roadworthy or whatever?
CO Davis, over to you.
Through the mayor, Councilor Landsman, related to the planning applications in particular, so should council support the recommendation, we would send our municipal appraisal forms to Peterborough County as they prepare their reports to go forward in January. Peterborough County, just to be clear, Peterborough County is the decision-making body on these applications, not us. We are just commenting bodies. We are asking permission to send our comments, not to make a decision tonight. And so the reality is Peterborough County could decide in contravention of if should Township Council support this, Peterborough County could decide in the opposite and grant the severances. I'm not suggesting that they will or they won't. But when that when that decision is made, the applicant, as an applicant, has rights under the Ontario Land Tribunal. He can file an appeal if he is unsatisfied, if the applicants are unsatisfied with the outcome of the decision by Peterborough County. So that's the first set of recourses, is they can appeal the decision of the decision-making body. Secondarily, I guess the recourse in the future would be, our policy is pretty clear, and I think what the deputy mayor was trying to state was, because the road has not been assumed into the township road system, it's considered a private road. We do not support severances on private roads. However, there is a policy and a process that I believe that the deputy mayor recommended, and I would recognize it in our meetings in the last month and a half. We've had groups come forward seeking what that process was related to converting an unopened road allowance to an open road, and receive council support, I believe, to move forward, or for them to move forward with that process. So there is a secondary process in order to bring the road to a standard to which we deem acceptable, so that we can support a severance in the future. So there are two paths to solution here for the applicant. I believe that we're doing a disservice to the applicant by not allowing the county to make their decision, which is why they're forcing our hand now. Because they want to make a decision so that there's an opportunity for the applicant to then understand what their recourse is. Really what we're doing is we're holding them in limbo until they get a decision from the decision-making body, and we are not that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for the Pardon? I know, I know we don't have a seconder. I was going to ask for a seconder. Does anyone want to second the motion that has been made to move forward with recommendation? Councillor Watt, are you?
I will with a question.
Go ahead.
Just for clarity. And I think I just heard it in the speaking there, but I just want to be absolutely clear. If the people that live on that road now decided to go ahead and bring it up to standards, this application could come back when the road's up to standard, correct? There's nothing to stop it, like just because we're saying no this time, next time, if the road was done, we could say, hey, yeah, go ahead.
Through the mayor to Councillor Watt. So I want to be clear. We're not deciding whether this application is approved or not, right? So so fundamentally at the highest level, when you ask about in the future, if the road was brought to standard, 100% any property on that road, when it was brought to township standards and assumed by the township, could then apply for apply for a severance. This individual could reapply, or this application could be a reapplication in the future, should the conditions change on that road. But I also want to be very clear that we are not making a decision tonight whether this is severance is happening or not. We're really simply just deciding whether we're going to submit. You're going to give, we're asking, staff are asking council at this point to give us direction as to whether we move forward or send forward the municipal appraisal forms as are circulated on this agenda and were circulated on November 4th and February 18th. So simply what we're doing is we're asking to be able to send our comments to Peterborough County. And then so that they can take that information and make a recommendation to their land division, whether they should support these applications or not.
Okay, so we do have a motion that's now been duly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing nothing further, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you very much. On to item 10.3, the proposed debt management policy, and that is from Ms. Grenier. Over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Through the mayor, I'm presenting a report regarding a proposed debt management policy for the township. What the policy will do is set affordability rules so that every borrowing must fit within an annual repayment living limit using the latest FIR. It establishes an internal integrity safety margin so that total annual debt charges to be at or below 60% of our ARL to preserve future capacity and protect service levels. It'll focus on borrowing on long-lived capital only, avoiding the use of debt for short-term items that should be funded in the operating budget. Long-term debt may be used for capital expenditures of $5 million or more, which is what the policy is proposed at. The $5 million is either all or partially funded by debt. That doesn't mean all $5 million is of debt. It means the project is a $5 million project. It uses other funding first, strategically using grants, development charges, and reserves before borrowing. It requires fit-for-purpose terms, which match the term of the asset's useful life, prefer fixed interest rates, and cap terms on the lesser of the asset life or 40 years. We're adding pre-commitment checks, so confirming alignment with the asset management plan and council priorities, ensuring life cycle costs are funded, and that it passes a 1% interest rate stress test. So a stress test would say if the interest rate goes up 1% prior to us locking into the loan, would we still be able to afford that? So we're doing that test in advance. It increases transparency. So there's a mandatory one-page debt fact sheet with any project that may require borrowing, plus annual public reporting on debt outstanding, ARL room, and forecasted debt charges. The financial impact, there is no immediate financial impact from adopting the policy. There will be affordability testing before any new borrowing and improved long-term levy or rate planning because we standardize how debt costs are evaluated and disclosed. So approving this policy today puts disciplined, transparent guardrails around borrowing decisions. It keeps debt affordable, protects day-to-day services, aligns with the provincial ARL, and ties every borrowing decision to our asset management plan and council priorities. So I'm requesting that council approve the debt management policy, which is attachment A, and direct staff to implement the policy effective immediately and apply it to all future debt-funded capital approvals, and require a one-page debt fact sheet to accompany any capital project that may require borrowing. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions of Ms. Grenier? Seeing nothing, just looking for a motion. Councillor Johnson.
Yeah. I'm going to make a motion that we follow the recommendation. I think this is very good and very open to the public that we can see when we are borrowing money, that it's been well looked into our interest rates and what we can do and afford to pay the things back. So I really think that we need something along this line.
Okay, so motion to approve the recommendation. Does anyone want to second that? Councillor Landsman will second that. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? That motion carries. Back over to our treasurer for a procurement update. Ms. Grenier?
Okay, through the mayor, I'm providing council with 2 procurement updates this evening. First is on the service delivery route review for the building and planning departments. The township issued the RFP and has received 9 submissions. These submissions were evaluated and scored on company overview, qualifications and experience, work plan and timelines, and pricing. As a result, the contract has been awarded to Triton Engineering Services after achieving the highest evaluation score. The second issue is with the new refrigeration system for the Douro Community Center. The refrigeration system is a necessary component of the surface floor replacement project for that center. We have been notified of anticipated material price increases of approximately 38% effective January 8, 2026, due to announced tariffs on certain goods being imported from the US, notably the large diameter piping that would be needed for the refrigerating component of the floor. In addition, these refrigeration materials have long lead times, and we would like to expedite this purchase to help avoid those scheduled delays. So we're recommending that we award Simco Refrigeration based on prior successful work with the township, proximity and service capacity, and a recommendation from the project manager. So the amount of this is $345,000. And awarding this contract now will secure pre-tariff pricing and save an estimated 4 months of lead time.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions of Ms. Grenier on that report? Seeing no questions, just looking for a motion then. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll make a recommendation that we make a motion, sorry, to follow the recommendation with thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone want to second that motion? Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, I'll second it. And that's on the 2 different scenarios. And 2 different companies, right?
Your motion is for both, the recommendation for the proposal for both RFPs. Thank you. Councillor Watt?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Just quickly, for the Triton, did they give any indication of when they might be able to start, or will it be something in the new year, early in the new year, or midsummer, or any, just a ballpark?
CAO Davis?
Through the council, through the mayor to Councillor Watts, since this is my project, I'm happy to talk to that. They plan to start immediately. And we're hoping for, I think we have a pretty aggressive timeline, but we're hoping to work through the first quarter of this year on this project.
And Councillor Landsman, a question?
Yes, I can't find it. I thought I had it marked. The warranty on this product is a year, is that correct? That doesn't sound like an awful lot of warranty for the amount of money.
You're talking about the refrigeration?
That's what I'm saying.
floor?
I
Yeah.
can't find it on, I thought I had it marked. So anyway, that's just,
Mayor Watson, Michael Mood is here, the manager who's overseeing this project. He's happy to speak to it.
Yes, Mayor to Councillor Johnson. That is Simcoe's standard warranties for anything. That doesn't mean there's no recourses for us, like from this project. Simcoe will be entering into an agreement with us, and then there will be signing an innovation agreement in the future to the general contractor that gets this job, and they will be falling under their liability insurance, and we can, if there is deficiencies with recourse, that we can follow up on that in the future.
thanks very much.
Through the chair, I just want to make one comment. is that I can understand that if we don't follow through with this instantly, because in my business, I relate to the price of copper, and it says 30, 40, 50% increase. It's just outrageous. So I think the sooner we can endorse this, the better.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? I think we've got a motion that's been made and seconded, so I'll call for the vote. All in favor? That motion carries. Thank you. On to 10.5, is that where we are? Okay, there we go. The 2026 budget, and I will refer that over to CAO Davis to walk us through.
To members of the council, this is the third time or third draft of the budget that's come forward. We've talked about and I've presented at length on this budget. So I'm going to start at the slide that talks about where we are in budget process. And I would note that we are at the third draft presentation stage. And what we hope is the final draft of the budget today, or this is the final meeting, we're hopeful. What I will do is I'll highlight some of the things that have changed between the two budgets. If you could switch the slide, please. So there's a couple of things I want to highlight. As last time we had a report on this, on the budget, I wrote a lengthy report related to the feedback from the public meeting as part of the second draft. And one of the things we committed to was that in the November 18th report that I brought forward, is that we would have we would include actuals with this version of the budget. And I would point out to council, if you look through the operating tables and the various tables, you will find the 2024 actuals, the 2025 budget, the 2025 actuals year to date, and then the proposed 2026 budget. As presented on November 18th, the budget remains relatively unchanged, save for three items that are highlighted on this slide tonight. Salaries and wages have been adjusted in accordance with the most recent CPI adjustment for October. And so that is the most up-to-date information we have. At the direction of council, we removed the FTE conversion costs, or the full-time equivalency conversion costs for the deputy fire chief, and maintained the contract position, which resulted in a $9,935 savings. And then if I turn your attention to the capital budget, in the second draft, we removed, at the direction of council, surface treatment on the Douro Fourth line from County Road 4 to County Road 8. We canceled that project and redistributed the grant funds that were attached to that to other surface treatment projects that resulted in a savings of $199,400. Next slide, please. What is the outcome? So the outcome, as shows, is that if we're looking at sort of changes to the budget, the 2026 budget is now projecting to be the tax impact is of 2.4% for the operating budget remains. We have a negative 2.8% tax impact on the capital budget this year. And then we recognize assessment growth at 0.8%, which nets out township departmental budgets and capital budgets to a negative 1.2%. Once we include the areas that we do not have control over, like police, library, conservation, and we include a capital levy for the joint building at 1%, what we're seeing is a 1.6% budget that we're presenting to you at this stage. That is all I'm going to say to the matter tonight, Mayor Watson. What I will say is, we are prepared if you'd like to have more discussion about adding more roads or taking more things out or those types of different pieces, certainly we're here to help facilitate the discussion should you ask.
Okay, thank you very much, CAO Davis. Council, what would you like to do? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've prepared a motion here. And anyways, I'm going to read this motion out. Whereas this is the third draft of the 2026 Township of Douro-Dummer budget, shows the overall levy increase as a 1.6 overall, which is less than inflation. And whereas the draft 2026 budget is proposing that the capital budget be reduced by $207,900, a reduction of negative 2.8%. And whereas the Township of Douro-Dummer is required to have an asset management plan that ensures that sufficient funds are available to provide repair and replacement of assets such as roads, culverts, and buildings. And whereas the asset management plans calls for more investment in the municipality's assets, not less. Therefore, it be resolved that the Council of the Township of Douro-Dummer direct that $199,400 previously allocated to the Douro Fourth Line Road Repair Project, which was removed from the budget, be used to fund the double surface treatment of White Lake Road West, Section 12, and Gilchrist Bay Road, Section 8, as recommended in the Township's road needs study. And that is my motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Does anyone want to second that motion? Councillor Watt, are you questioner?
I will second it with the comments, questions.
Floor's yours, might as well.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to be right up front here. When we removed that last time, and I did mention it to a few people, I was under the misapprehension that, or misunderstanding that we would be bringing when we take that road out, because maybe it's not as in dire need of repair as, or new surface as some of the other ones in the township. I thought we would be removing $199,500, $400, whatever it was, of 2027 projects forward to keep it the same. And I said it through the meeting a couple times when we had the last budget. Like our portion of the budget was that we had control of was 1.6%, maybe 1.5 with a couple little tweaks. I had no problem with that. I mean, we do have the parts that we haven't got control of, but I had no problem with that. So I don't want to go backwards on the road. We've spent, God, since I've been on council, we've spent a lot of time trying to improve our roads, bring them up to standards, keep them in a good shape and come forward on them. I taken a couple $100,000 completely out, which was, again, my mistake. I didn't understand, and it's totally my fault. I don't want to go backwards. I want to keep the status quo and get ahead over the years if possible.
Okay, thank you for your comments and for seconding that motion. Councillor Watt, any questions or comments on the motion? I will ask one. Mr. Condon, since you're here, the proposed roads, and I scribbled them down quickly from the motion that Deputy Mayor was reading, White Lake Road West and Gilchrist Bay Road, I think it was a section of or something. What is the proposed cost for doing that work?
Through there, the estimated cost for those two sections of road, today's price would be $200,500. That does include a bit of a contingency of 5% contingency fund there. So confident they could be done at 109.4 that was previously removed, but we'll wait till the pricing comes in.
Okay, so don't turn your mic off quite yet. So just to verify then, we'd effectively be putting in $200,500 back into the budget to replace the 199. Oh, the slide's not there. The 199,400. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing nothing, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. Any other discussions on the budget before we move on? So I'd like to take a moment. Oh, Councillor Watt?
Could we, somebody could do some creative calculating here while we're moving on, with different things as to where that would bring the total budget back up to tonight for a percentage, please?
Yeah, C.O. Davis?
Through the mayor to Councillor Watt, I've asked our financial analyst to stay on with us today. He's upstairs watching council, so he will be preparing updating this table to reflect those that change in particular. Should there be other changes that come forward, we'll start to do the work on that. And we may need, I think while we have more discussion, there's probably enough time, but if he's not prepared, we can maybe call for a short recess if necessary. But I believe we should be ready. We're ready if it's just this. If there's more, we're happy to do the work.
Okay, thank you for that. So, so I'd like to actually talk a little bit about the budget, and I think I want to make a motion. So in the spirit of that, Deputy Mayor, I think what I'll do is rescind the chair and hand the floor over to you to keep us all in line.
No problem, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So, so Chair, through you, earlier in our budget deliberations, I can't recall now whether it was during the committee of the whole or the first time we had presented the budget, I had talked about the burn permits and the revenues from burn permits and how they're, if we're creating reserves out of those and what the impact is of that. After further discussion with the chiefs, the email that was distributed, I believe that there's room within the burn permit system to allow for a reduction of the burn permit fee from $20 to $15 for the year. And my hope is that we can get that actioned this evening so that we can take advantage of, not take advantage of, but the rollover of those permits that happen on January 1st. So anybody who might want to have a bonfire on New Year's Day, for example, would want to activate a permit and be able to benefit from the new fee structure. So my motion is, whereas the township has a process to issue burn permits to residents and local businesses, and whereas the township's burn permit system is an important tool to communicate with users regarding fire safety and local fire conditions, and whereas there is a fee for burn permits to ensure that the system is self-sufficient, and whereas residents should be recognized for the success of the burn permit program, now therefore be it resolved that the fee for a residential burn permit be reduced to $15 for 2026. And I would hope one of my council colleagues would second that motion.
Looking for a motion? Sorry. What? Sorry, looking for a seconder for that motion. Sorry.
That's okay. I would second that, and I would also ask a question if I may.
Go ahead.
I would direct my question, I guess, to the clerk. Do people automatically have their burn permits just redone every year, or do they have to do it? When they. I guess my question is it automatically renewed if they have a question about it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Landsman, from my understanding of the burn permit system, you would apply annually for your permit. Our fire chief is here, so he would be able to explain the intricacies of that.
Sorry, Chuck, go ahead.
Through the chair to Councillor Lansdowne, yeah, the permits do not automatically renew. You do have to apply for them. Our timeline right now is we open the permit system up usually this time of year so that they're valid for the rest of this year and next year, to help anyone that needs assistance before the holiday break. But so that won't affect anyone new. That we've kind of tried to defer them a little bit this week to saying that, we are, the permitting system will be turned over to reflect valid permits for the remainder of this year and next year. But they're not auto renewing, if that answers your question.
Thank you, Chuck. Any more questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Watt.
Thank you. So before just for the general public and so on and so forth, again, myself, so I'm going to redo mine, obviously. So if I want to have my fire on New Year's Day, I can have my fire on New Year's Day. What is the last date to do that? The date of the closing of the office for the holidays, or sooner, or how's that? Or just so everyone knows.
Through the chair to Councillor Watt, I just want to clarify the question. When the fees change, or when the permit's available, or what was exactly your question?
Sorry, when are next year's, the balance of this year is going to be on next year's, whatever, like you just said. So when are next year's permits going to be able to be bought, and up to what date? Like when's the first date that I can buy my new permit for 2026?
Probably tomorrow, but I'll guarantee by the end of the week.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. And the vote, all in favor? Thank you. The chair back over to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I appreciate that, and council for your support on that. On budget, anything else that council is looking at following up on or making motions on? This is the meeting that we would be looking at finalizing the budget and final approvals on that. Okay, we've got Deputy Mayor, and I understand that Mr. Joshi does have some final numbers for us when we're ready for him, so. Were you asking a question?
Through you, Madam Mayor. I'll wait until Gijo gives us an update. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I thought you had a question. Okay, Mr. Joshi, over to you. Can you give us an update, please, on the numbers based on the decisions that were made earlier?
Good evening, members of the council. I hope you can hear me all right. Through you, Madam Mayor. I have made some updates based on the motions that were put forward on the floor today. So according to the recommendations, I have added back the 2 surface treatment projects. One is White Lake Road, west from County Road 6 to the south limit for $148,500. And the other surface treatment project, which is Gilchrist Bay Road from Little Lane to County Road 6, which will bring the capital budget revised up to $1,302,573, and that will bring the capital budget back to negative 0.1%, with the total township departmental budget, both capital and operating included, will be 1.5%. Bringing the percentage change to the tax rate as revised to 4.3%.
Thank you for that update on the fly, Gigi. Appreciate that. Any questions, Deputy Mayor?
Just comment, and then I would be happy to make a motion to pass the budget or move the budget forward. If I look at I'm hearing from my other colleagues in other municipalities, we are still going to be the lowest, and I think we can't keep on. Get ready for it, because I can tell you there's all kinds of municipalities around here that are coming in at 7 and 8%, and I feel that staff has done a great job here at keeping our taxes low. And I challenge any one of you, look around the county. The only one that's lower in taxes is Selwyn, and that's because of the commercial property they have. Unfortunately, we're not that great here with commercial property. As well, there's other things that govern that, folks, and a lot of that is water and sewer. And I'm sorry, I don't think this township will ever see water and sewer, but I've been around a long time and I think we can appreciate the fact of what our taxes are. Some people may not. I don't know, check around. If you don't like it here, I can tell you that other places charge a lot more for taxes, and we have a deficit in how much money we are raising for to look after our assets. And the government, the provincial government is going to say, we're not going to give you any more money. You have the ability to raise taxes, and therefore there's no more grant money coming in. And we're seeing that more and more and more. Over my career here, we used to get a lot of grant money. We don't get that anymore. And I can assure you it's going to get less in the future. So I hate to tell you this, but this township needs to operate. We have to operate. And if it comes to that, it's maybe what services do you want we don't provide anymore. Maybe it's, I don't know. We're pretty much handcuffed by what the province tells us we have to provide. And that's what it is. So whenever you're ready, Madam Mayor, I'm ready to move that we pass the budget.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Johnston.
And one comment. I must say that I'm disappointed in my colleagues of doing what we just did. I mean, if I ever dreamt that someone else is going to get a piece of the bread, then I probably wouldn't have touched the road to begin with. I done this because I think that it was something that we could hold off for another period of time. We still got to do some patching, but we could hold off. But I never ever intended to shove that money somewhere else because I don't know when they were supposed to be done, and I really don't want to know when they were supposed to be done. But I'm very dissatisfied that that we did what we did.
Okay, any other questions, comments from council? Deputy Mayor, I'll turn it over to you to make the motion then.
Sure, Madam Mayor. I'll make a recommendation that we follow the recommendation of the budget and what we've agreed to so far.
Okay, so that we adopt the budget as presented.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Thank you. And who would like to second that motion, if anybody? Okay, and the clerk is saying as revised, not as presented, because what was presented was what the CIO presented, so that was my fault for putting those words in.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, that's correct.
As revised,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, and to second that motion, Councillor Watt, any discussion on the motion? All in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, on to correspondence. I think we've got, correspondence, item 12.1. We have a letter from Mr. Mollahan to request to hold a public meeting as part of the service delivery review. Council, what would you like to do with that?
So the chair, I'm all in favor of that. No.
Be quick on the mics. So you're moving to,
I'll make a motion to receive the request and also that we would entertain a public meeting to discuss a service delivery review.
okay. CAO Davis, do you want to respond to that? Thank you.
Through the mayor, Councillor Johnson, and the other members of council, because I've received this question already once today, and I just want to be very clear. As part of the RFP process, we asked for public engagement, and Triton Engineering, who is the successful bidder as presented this evening in the treasurer's procurement report, as part of their proposal to us, they've provided, they say the following related to public engagement. In consultation with the CAO, develop a public engagement plan that includes a dedicated updated webpage with direct email options, one information public open house, sorry, before an initial council presentation, one public meeting, and a final report and presentation to council in open session. So not only will we get a public meeting, there will also be a public open house for the general public to meet with and speak with those doing that work. So I believe that we've satiated the requirements or the requests of the community for a public meeting as part of that process.
I'd like to still keep the motion on the floor.
Okay, so does anyone want to, Councillor Watt?
Yes, I will second that with a comment. And I don't know whether it would be someone here or someone with Triton, is that, anyway, a mediator that's going to keep things civil, put it that way, because I know there's some pretty big apprehension around the township with our building department, and I don't want those meetings to get out of hand. So I just, we have to have a proper mediation of it, and hopefully it goes very well.
Councillor Landsman?
Yes, through you to the CAO. Public meeting, does that mean the public has a chance to speak? Or public open house, both of them?
Through the mayor to Council Landsman, that would be the intention. I don't think the public meeting as described by this organization, and I believe requested from the public, is not a sort of public meeting out of the guidelines of the Municipal Act. I believe as a project, we would have a public open house, which would make the consultants available to hear from the members of the public. There will be an opportunity to send them direct emails to provide feedback in advance of those of that activity. And then I believe the public meeting will involve the ability for the public to make comment.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions on the motion? Just questions. Seeing nothing, all in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. On to item 12.2, the City of Windsor resolution regarding Bill 68 Conservation Authorities Act. What would you like to do with that one, Council? Councillor Watt?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Just a motion to receive, please. I think we had one of these last meetings too, and it's a done deal basically with the province. So I don't think there's going to be any changes made. So receive only, please.
And that's coming from our member sitting on the Autonomy Conservation Authorities. So does anyone want to second that? Deputy Mayor Nelson, any discussion? All in favor? That motion carries. On to bylaws. We have two in front of us. Madam Clerk, perhaps you can speak to item 13.1, bylaw 2025-45, please.
Absolutely. Through you, Madam Mayor, that bylaw is a bylaw we usually have once or twice a year, where we collect all of the 10-foot strips that have been deeded to the township through the severance process. And we pass a bylaw to add them to the road system. That allows us to put culverts in them or put driveways over them or use that land to expand roads. And so we do it once or twice a year as it's needed.
Thank you very much. Can we get a motion on that? Deputy Mayor Nelson, seconded by Councillor Landsman. Any discussion? All in favor? And that carries. And then can we talk about the second one, item 13.2, please?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So this is the amendment to the building bylaw. There are schedules to this bylaw. I'm currently just opening it. And if I could just have a moment to review, I can tell you exactly what will be passed based on council's decisions earlier in the meeting.
Thank you. I knew that one would be a little tricky. Well, you want to get ahead of us?
Madam Mayor, if you're ready, I can provide an update.
Please do. Thank you.
So there is a bylaw before you. This, as mentioned earlier, is a bylaw to amend Schedule A and B of the Township's building bylaw. Schedule A is listed as attachment 1 in your agenda package. It is the schedules of fees for the department. The only section that will be changing on Schedule A is the section regarding sewage system maintenance inspections. No other changes will be made to the fees. Further to that, attachment 2, which is Schedule B, which is respecting the sewage system maintenance inspection program, will be amended as it's presented here. No other changes are taking place.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So this bylaw is just serving to make the changes as it relates to the septic inspection maintenance program, and nothing as it relates to the fee schedules for any of the other fees that were proposed on the second report. We're not moving forward with any of that per the direction of council. Councillor Johnston? Councillor Johnston will make that motion. Anyone want to second that? Deputy Mayor? Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we have no reports derived from previous notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing nothing, any announcements?
Just a minute. I want to say, through the chair, Merry Christmas to everybody that's listening and everybody that's in the stand here. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your families.
Thank you. Was that a notice of motion or just an announcement? Notice. It's an official notice of motion. We'll carry that forward to the next meeting. And any other announcements that council would like to make? Just one here. The office will be closed starting December 24th and will reopen on the morning of January 2nd. Notice has been posted online on social media and voicemail, and the front door will be, pardon me, not has been. And I echo Councillor Johnston's sentiment to have a wonderful holiday, safe Christmas, and enjoy yourselves. We have no closed session, just the confirming bylaw. Councillor Watt, seconded by Councillor Landsman, all in favor? That motion carries. And our next meeting is January 13th of 2026. We're almost turning the calendar at 4 o'clock. That's right. We have a special meeting. And then a motion to adjourn. Councillor Johnston, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson. All in favor? That motion carries. Thanks, everyone. Have a good holiday.